For a ride on a slow boat to China. Tell me where in the world is
the sexiest voice in all of sports media, Nick Friedell.
Nick has this rugged masculinity that all of us at ESPN are jealous of.
I don't know about friend of the program because I think you're lumping me in with being a friend of Friedell, and I don't want to be associated with all that.
Thank you, Nick, and your voice is very deep and sexy. I have.
What you gonna do, brother? Yeah, exactly. When Mac Jones is coming for you?
How would you describe the level of hope that everyone else spoke with yesterday in regards to what James Wiseman brought?
What are they talking about regarding Wiseman and like the impact he can make this season?
Yeah, just how much
Obviously, you can't predict the future, and we'll see what happens this summer. But would you be willing to take less money?
Bro, I'm not answering your questions no more. I'm sorry. Next question.
Yo, you know what that means. By the way, Joe Shasky has the keyword up right now. Go to Twitch, go to YouTube. Throughout the interview here, as we are joined by NBA reporter for ESPN, Cousin Nick Friedell, we are going to be holding up that keyword. You can text that keyword to 20357, and it's your chance to win a pair of playoff tickets to Game 2 for the Warriors and the Nuggets. We will be holding that periodically throughout the interview with Mr. Nick Friedell. Nick Friedell, what's going on, man?
Mr. Langford, it is always good to be with you guys. And, you know, Mr. Shasky, hearing that Mac Jones, that's a little funnier now, given I wonder if you would trade old Trey Lance for Mac Jones at this point, given what we saw last year.
Spicy.
No. We'll bookmark that. We will discuss that over one of those burgers that you had in New York at a later date and time. I want to start here. Does Kevin Durant miss us?
Does he miss the Bay?
Yeah, all of us.
The Warriors?
Yeah. Steph, the fans, the slander. I mean, they've got an uphill battle here. But somehow, why do I feel like they're the favorite coming out of the East?
I think they're going to beat Boston. I really do. And I've told some of my friends that who have watched the Nets just like me, and they just shake their head, and they're like, what? And it's because of Kevin. I mean, Joe, we've watched him too many years at this point to think that he cannot carry this team all the way through. He's that good. He is unbelievable. I think he's playing the best I've ever seen him play. Now, does he miss the Bay? I think he misses the Bay. I think he misses Steph and Clay and Draymond and a bunch of people in the organization. But having said that, sometimes relationships, it's just time. And as I look back, and not only being here now, but as I look back at the end of that, I think that relationship had just kind of run its course. So gotcha. I don't think no matter what happens with the Nets, he's going to regret the decision that he made at this point.
Well, the reason why I asked that is because yesterday, the Volume podcast for Draymond Green, there was a snippet about Draymond asking Steph Curry, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it came out this morning, so we're trying to find out what the answer was. Draymond asked Steph Curry, if you right now could trade the 2017 and 2018 championships for an opportunity to complete the 73-game season, and you say, do away with the 2 championships, but you get 73 wins, plus you win that championship, would you make that trade? And like they leave us in a cliffhanger with Steph like, I don't know which one I'd do. And all I was thinking about was, oh my God, whatever he comes up with the answer, Kevin's going to have an opinion on this immediately.
Draymond is no fool. He knew exactly what he was doing. He's spicing things up for his podcast and getting some interest. I saw that just like you guys did, and I went, oh boy, you're in trouble no matter how you answer this thing. But I would think, and I'm curious to see what the answer is myself, but I would think that Steph probably would, because guys, we all know if they had won that title, and if Draymond doesn't get suspended, on and on and on, that they are considered the greatest team of all time. And to have that over winning 2, 3, 4, however many titles they end up winning, if they can add another 1 or 2 here in the next couple of years. We'll see. But when you're the greatest team of all time, that lives forever and ever. So Draymond knew exactly what he was doing, and I'm sure he'd been sitting on that one for a long time, and at least publicly. And I'm sure Kevin will say something at some point. But I'd say this, Joey, for all the time that I spent around Kevin in that last year and change in the Bay, and then being around him now, I do think he's in a comfortable place now. This team has been so up and down, and you're never quite sure who's going to be on the floor day to day because of the injuries. They had the COVID outbreak a few months ago. Kyrie's status was hit or miss until they rolled back that mandate. But Kevin specifically, I think he's in a really good spot, and I think he's feeling good about where he's at and where this team is at moving forward.
He covers the Nets as well as the rest of the NBA for ESPN. It is Nick Friedell, cousin Nick, to the Morning Roast. And I'm just thinking, Nick, back when KD, toward the end of his time here in Golden State, it started to get contentious with him in the media. What has been the relationship with the media over there in Brooklyn as of late?
It's been fine, but I tell you this, and you guys know this full well. Anybody who's been a fan of the Warriors and been out in the Bay, the Warriors media relation team is the gold standard. Ray Ritter and that staff go out of their way to help the media. And I'm speaking as somebody who's covered the league now for about 15 years. There's nobody like them. With Michael and Daryl and Cole and Brett and that entire group, they're trying to help writers and broadcasters do their job better by providing some access to players and coaches. And with the Nets, I say that because they're just not as interested in developing their brand day to day and making those type of players and coaches and facilitating those interviews the same way. For a long stretch this season, and obviously I only got here at the beginning of the new year in January, but you could only talk to Kevin, Kyrie, James Harden post-game. And that is not the way the rules are written in the NBA, but like a lot of teams, not just the Nets, a lot of teams don't really care how the rules are written. They're making up their own rules. They're trying to protect their players from what they think might be some bad press, but that's not often the case. The Warriors just view it differently. They feel like they are selling a product, and the product is their team, their organization, and the personality of their players. So, Steve, that's all a long way to say the Nets do business completely differently out here.
Yeah.
And they don't make it a point to provide the kind of access, certainly, that I had out there in the Bay. And the Warriors are just very, very different compared to most NBA teams in that regard.
All right. We're talking to Nick Friedell, ESPN's own, the homie. It's been a long time. You've been out there, 4 months? 4 months you've been in New York?
But it feels about like 3 years with this team. And Joe, I'd be remiss. This season, and I've been texting you about this, it reminds me so much, at least the 3 months of this season that I've been here, of that year 3 years ago with the Warriors.
Oh, my God.
Every day is some new soap opera. Most of the stuff has nothing to do with what's going on the floor. It's like you walk into that practice facility and you're like, okay, what's going to happen today? It's like back in time. Everybody focuses on that Draymond KD blow up at Staples, but there were so many other things that year that were happening day to day off the floor, and that's what's going on with this Nets group right now. You just never know what's going to happen.
Well, it's interesting because now you're on the East Coast. I want to know what the vibe is back there, and you've been affiliated with ESPN for a long time. Like, how are they viewing the Warriors right now? Because to me, the Warriors are clicking at just the right time. I know that they faced some dumpster fire teams at the end of the year. I know Steph hasn't played for 4 full weeks. Jordan Poole looks like he is coming into his own. That's my biggest revelation of the year. Wiggins is turning back into the astronaut where he's floating at times. Clay looks outstanding. Dray looks engaged, ready, and healthy. Same with Iguodala. I feel like they're primed for a big run here. What is the vibe? What do you think, number one? And then what do your other brethren and peers think about this team back on the East Coast?
I want to see how Steph looks like everybody else. Joe, I'm not taking, if Steph looks like Steph, I'm not taking Memphis to knock off the Warriors. I think the Warriors can handle business in that series. I just don't believe that the Grizzlies are ready at this point, but that will be the tipping point. Can they get past Memphis? And look, playing Jokic and seeing Denver, that is a tough challenge, but if everybody's healthy for the Warriors, I think they can make that happen. But I'd say the feeling back here, the feeling from a lot of my colleagues is this is Phoenix's year. And the Suns have to prove that they can get in the postseason, and if and when that matchup comes, that they can knock off the longtime kings of the league and the Warriors. And we all know to knock off Steph and Draymond and Clay, it will be very, very difficult. But I just wonder, as I talk to more people, and obviously I was there day to day for 3+ years, I almost feel like, that with this core, they better do it right now. Like there's this feeling of, all right, everybody's getting a little older. You mentioned Poole, he's been unbelievable, and I still cannot believe, having watched him a few years ago, that this is the same guy, but all credit to Jordan Poole, he's been awesome. It just feels like with this group, they better do it now if they can, because Steph is getting older. You're not sure how Draymond's body's going to hold up. I do think Clay will be better next year than what we've seen so far this year. But the pieces are in place, like you mentioned, to make the run right now. So whether or not they can do it, whether or not they can get past Memphis and get past Phoenix, we're going to find out. But there is that push of, as good as the future may look with Poole, and Kuminga and Moody had some solid minutes, of course, this year, you just wonder how long you can keep everything in place, especially with the financial ramifications that are going to come this summer with making the moves that you got to make, and then extending Poole for however much money that's going to take, which is likely looking like a max deal more and more.
The voice you hear is ESPN NBA reporter Nick Friedell, but you can also see his face on the Twitch and YouTube stream. So here's what we're going to do, Twitch and YouTube streamers. I'm going to ask the question, and then when Nick Friedell is answering, Shasky is going to hold up the keyword that you can text to 20357 to possibly win a pair of Warrior tickets to Game 2 versus the Nuggets. Nick, we just got the report this morning that Ben Simmons is likely to return to the series against the Celtics. And my question is this real, Nick? Should we believe this with Ben Simmons coming back?
Mr. Langford, I'm not sure what to believe day to day as far as this net stuff with Simmons is concerned. It certainly feels in the last few days that there's more optimism towards a return sooner than later. But I can tell you this, over the last few weeks, when we have asked his teammates, how does Ben look? What's he able to do? They're like, we haven't really seen him much. We aren't around when he's getting his individual work in. So maybe that changes here over the course of the next few days and into the next week as the series with the Celtics gets rolling. But this is a guy who hasn't played in almost a year, and he hasn't done much of anything because of that back injury in close to 2 months. So whatever he's able to provide, if he is able to get back on the floor, it will be very limited. But it is a look that they don't have, at least on the perimeter defensively and getting the ball up and down. But if you were to ask me last week if I thought Simmons would appear in this series, I would have said no. It sounds more and more like it is a possibility, but let's wait to see how he looks, if he's able to get out there and practice at some point in the next week or so, and how his body responds. Because when the day he was supposed to ramp things up, this is going back to right around the end of February, was the day he said, hey, something's going on my back, and he wasn't able to do anything to that point. He had a herniated disc. So now it's kind of a waiting game for the Nets to see how he's feeling and how he looks. But Nash has already said if he can give them a few minutes, debuting in a playoff game with a team that he doesn't really know, they will throw him out there because they believe he can make them that much better.
All right, Nick, before you get out of here, you're now in Brooklyn. You used to be in the Bay Area, and this is a sports show, but we're also a food show. I saw you post the hamburger the other day, the cheeseburger, and you were talking about how the greatest cheeseburger in all of Chicago is now have a location in New York and in Brooklyn. But that's not the question I want to ask you. I want to know, because I've never been to Brooklyn, what's the cuisine that you're missing the most that you enjoyed in the Bay Area that you just can't find in Brooklyn?
Good question.
I know. You can tell he took that very serious, too. Because the marina misses you, Nick. I'm going to be quite frank. Squat and Gobble, the homie JJ, he's like, what's up, my man's Nick's coming through? We got to hit the town. I mean, what do you miss? Is it burritos? Do they have good burritos on the East Coast? I doubt it.
No, not like the burritos in the Bay. And it's funny that the place that came to mind as you asked that question was House of Prime Rib, because I miss just being able to go sit in there, and I know that is a unique San Francisco experience. And my buddy and I used to go sit at Moe's right by the station and have breakfast and have that moment too. But I would probably go with House of Prime Rib, because I wish that I could go in there and just sit and eat a bunch of meat until it was game time. And they have some solid steaks, but they don't have any place that I've seen that's like that.
Hey, look, I want to tell you, Nick, we miss you in the Bay Area. My wife says hello. She misses you. Big hug from the Shasky family. I can't wait to see you soon, bud.
Are you wearing a Seiya Suzuki jersey right now as we're doing this interview?
I need to get one ordered because he's
baller,
pretty solid early. But man, the Cubbies, guys, I wish
3-2, Nick.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think that'll hold for too long. But hopefully, I can get out there and see those games, and we can sit.
Hell yeah,
and have a couple drinks too. But tell Michelle I said hi.
Will do.
I miss you guys bad, and hopefully, if the Warriors keep rolling, hopefully I can just kind of appear and we can go watch a game somewhere.
I can't wait. I miss you, buddy. Have a good one, and good luck in the playoffs.
See you, Nick.
It could be a fast exit, or we could be talking for 2 more months.
I love it. Nick Friedell, ESPN, 95.7 The Game contributor, just the homie.